So, loneliness isn't what you think it is. Okay, you're not disconnected, you're detached. And there's a difference that could change everything. Welcome back, my loves. And if you're new to the sanctuary, welcome. If you're joining here live, feel free to say hey in the chat. Let me know where you're joining from, your zodiac sign for kicks and giggles. You can also do that in the comments if you're watching the replay. This is Shadow Work Sunday, a place where we don't run from what's heavy. We sit with it, we look at it, and we figure out what it's actually trying to tell us. So today we're talking about loneliness, which doesn't always mean you're alone. It lives inside you and can even live inside you when the room is full. Now, before we go any deeper, remember to take what resonates, leave what doesn't, and always use your own discernment. You are your own best guide. Okay. I am sharing the truth Spirit has shown me and my own lived experience. Now, speaking of lived experience, I was journaling about all of this to share with you guys today. So I want to start with something personal because shadow work asks us to be real. And I'm not going to ask you to go somewhere I'm not willing to go myself, right? So I felt lonely even as a child. I grew up in a large family, lots of siblings, and I was rarely alone physically, but it didn't feel that way on the inside. Now we can understand that more because of my gifts, right, and abilities. But that feeling followed me through life. And as an adult, I kind of hit a point where I was living on my own for the first time, no partner, no kids, no pets. And I was in an area where outside of work, I didn't really know many people. Okay. And the quiet was a lot to sit with a lot of times. So this might sound kind of lame to some people, but I even joined a support group for loneliness at one point. That's where I was. Now, shadow work takes vulnerability. Okay. You can't do this work without it. Raw, real vulnerability. And during that time, I sought connections and people I shouldn't have. And that was its own lesson, of course. But I was also being pushed inward. And that's where I found surrender. I learned to love myself, my own company, and enjoy my space. Okay. To find joy in the small things, sipping my coffee on the balcony in the morning, listening to the birds, and, call that cheesy, but there's a peace in it that I can't fully explain with words. And it's real. Okay. And as I started following my own discernment more and more, I did lose connections, but I'm not going to lie. And I realized that aligned connection felt completely different than just having company. Okay. One fills you, the other one drains you and leaves you even lonelier than you started, even though you think you're filling a void, right? So, somewhere in all of this, I realized something that shifted everything for me. Okay. I wasn't disconnected, I was detached. And those are not the same thing. Now, I touched on this a little bit in our live yesterday and again with someone on threads today. And both times it landed like a missing piece for people. So that's why we're exploring this deeper today. Okay. So let's break this down. Okay. Loneliness is a feeling that something is missing. Detachment is a state, your system pulling inward to recalibrate. Okay. They look identical from the outside. They can even feel identical at first, but loneliness pulls you towards people and situations that can't actually fill that void for you. Detachment is protective, it's discernment. And the shadow work here is figuring out which you're actually in. Because if you keep trying to cure it with connection, especially the wrong connections, you're going to stay exhausted. And if you call loneliness just being introverted, you might stay isolated and wonder why nothing changes. Okay. So now the spiritual piece. Buddha taught that suffering comes from attachment, not from being alone, not from loss itself, but from the clinging, the holding on to what was, what we expected, what we wanted someone to be. And that's where the pain lives. Detachment isn't cold or giving up. Spiritually, it's one of the highest states you can move toward. And this was one of my hardest lessons in life, you guys. And that's why I'm sharing it with all of you now. It means you can love deeply, you can feel fully, and still not lose yourself in it. You stay rooted, you stay sovereign. Now, a lot of people on this path, especially the sensitive ones, the empaths, the ones who've been through it, confuse this. They confuse detachment for being broken or closed off. But detachment done right is freedom. It's how you stay open to aligned connection without being destroyed by the misaligned ones. Now, I may not have a lot of social ties. I am detached from a lot of people. I'm not going to lie to you guys. You know how I am with that. But I am deeply connected to myself, to spirit, to the people and things that are truly aligned. And that's not loneliness, that's clarity. And I say this a lot on my channel, but I don't want to be cold. I want to be clear. Okay. So I have some journal prompts for you guys that really helped me to kind of sit with and ask yourself and maybe journal about. Okay. There's a few of them. They're pretty simple, but very deep. So things to ask yourself: when I feel lonely, what am I actually craving? A person or a feeling? And am I pulling away because I need rest or because I'm afraid of something? And if so, what? And last but not least, where have I been waiting for someone else to make me feel less alone instead of doing that for myself? And that was a big one for me, okay? Because I would do this. I found, and I never would have believed this about myself, but I found that, especially in partnerships, I was waiting for someone else, and I did it with friendships too, to make me feel less lonely instead of doing it for myself, instead of doing the work myself. So that's a big one. It was a life changer for me. So I'm sharing it with you guys. And honestly, the should, that programming does creep up sometimes still. I should have more friends, things like that. So it's kind of, healing isn't linear. It's a work in progress. We're always healing. We're always learning, right? And we have Segment joining us today, and I'll explain why. I'm going to catch up on the chat here in a second as well. So, for one, you see there's a lion here on the card. We are in Leo season. We just started our 8-8 portal yesterday, although this reading and video is timeless. And Sekhmet is all about sacred rage and healing fire. Okay. And Leo is a fire sign. Like I said, we're in Leo season. And the card also says shadow work on it: courage, truth, shadow work. And that's what we're doing today on Shadow Work Sunday. So now, she was an Egyptian headed goddess of war. You see, we've been on an Egyptian theme or kick lately, of war, plague, and healing. And her name, Sekhmet, actually means she who is powerful. And she burns away illness and injustice. So if you ever feel like calling her on, I know justice has been a theme for us lately too. Okay. So, just a quick reminder, and again, welcome if you're joining me live. Feel free to say hey in the chat. Let me know where you're joining from, what your zodiac sign is. We are going to be doing polls today, okay? We're going to do some tarot here. But as a reminder, before I start to poll, and I'm going to get into charms first, all the questions today are going to be answered from a shadow lens, okay? So, not just surface level, but what's beneath it. So, that being said, we can get into it. Let's see. PP Cali Capricorn. Thank you. Hey Dylan, welcome back. I meant to say, I realized this afterwards, Dylan, the other day on the live. I said something, I think it was like the Lost Coast or something like that. And when I looked it up later, it was Florida. And I was like, oh, Dylan didn't catch that one. But anyway. Hey, is it Kaja? First timer. Welcome, welcome. Thank you for joining. Oh, thank you. Yeah, I love my paintings. Thank you for that. Oh, the UK. Nice. And Taurus. Oh, thank you for the clover. I love clovers. How goes it in the UK? And what part of the UK, if you feel comfortable sharing? So I know last week our live Shadow Work Sunday got cut off a little bit, but we are going to be doing pulls from the same deck. So from our Jungian deck here. So these are actual Jungian concepts that I've made a deck out of. Now I have the digital deck, which is all nice and pretty. This one is, handwritten by me. So for my use with readings with you guys. But I do have, and I plan to eventually get it printed and boxed and all that good stuff, but haven't gotten there yet, guys. But on sanctuary444.com, if you're interested, if you feel called, I do have the pretty digital deck available, and that's what I use for our shadow work. And it comes with, you can get it with or without the guidebook, but I would recommend with the guidebook. But if you're familiar with Jung, you'll love it. If you're not, definitely look into Carl Jung, one of the grandfathers of psychology. I'm a Jungian myself, um, so love it. Okay, so we're gonna pull some charms, and then we'll get into our pulls here. Oh, this is funny. We got the letter F and then a football. Interesting. Not only and of course, football starts with F. Oh, Suffolk. Okay. Oh, I get that catch. Could be better, but Nature Coast. Okay, Dylan. Oh, how funny. Alrighty. So I'm going to start off, I think, pulling one for the collective. If you guys want a pull, let me know. Or if you have a specific question, again, I'm going to pull from these decks here. I'm going to go one of you. Well, we'll see how many come out, but I'll pull one time from each deck. I won't say one card because sometimes we get several. And kind of see what's beneath your question. So we'll get probably an archetype, a shadow, maybe how you might be feeling in your body symptom wise, and then an action for you to take. All right. Oh, and let me see here. I also want to talk about this. So we did get our football, right? We got this the other day too, our football charm here. Football is about, persistence, strategy. It's a very masculine energy, kind of pushing through obstacles. Of course, it could resonate with you because maybe you are a sports fan or a football fan. Maybe something's going on. I think football season starts next month, September. I know it's a fall thing. I'm sorry, you guys, I don't really follow football, but so maybe there's something you're excited about. I don't know. I know in other parts they call football soccer, but this is an American football here. Could stand for Florida. Yep. Oh, Dylan, awesome. Oh gosh, I don't sell crystals, but I may in the future. I don't sell anything I have to ship currently, but I have been kind of toying with certain ideas. But thank you. Yes, this one is my green heart, which is my icon for um, G Witch. That's what I use on my channel. Um, so very special one for me that I have there on my altar at all times. Of course, my clear quartz, my amplifier. I have a really big clear quartz. You guys can't see it, but I'll show you real quick. This one's completely raw, unpolished, as you can see. That I also keep on my altar here as an amplifier of energy. So I love my crystals. I have a ton of them. I don't have them all on display for the altar, just due to space. But yes, I love them. I'm a crystal girl. Thank you, guys. I don't have one place. I've gotten crystals from all over. Um, from the US, from even some from other countries that I've found. Some I've been gifted. I don't have one specific place. Um, a lot of them are like little places I tend to happen upon. I even have here some shells and sand from the beach. So those are just ones I came across. Of course, this is my prism here, my prism wand. And yeah, so not one specific place actually, but good question. Thank you. Yeah, go for it. Feel free, you guys, put your questions. Oh, college football start. Okay. Yes, there are a lot of fake ones. I actually had a friend years ago who ended up buying some from someone they thought was trusted. I think because they kind of had a hippie look to them, they thought that they were trustworthy. Nothing against hippies, I'm very hippie myself, but um, and they were like on the side of the road, had this, seemingly like authentic little stand and all of this, and ended up kind of getting scammed. I mean, I get the disappointment because are kind of sold one thing and you end up getting another one, right? But so I get the disappointment, but I feel like you kind of end up with maybe what you need. I really like to go to little markets and stuff and boutiques and just like, stuff like that. I'm not gonna lie, I have gotten, of course, crystals online and stuff before, but yeah, so I've known people that have gotten scammed, so to speak, with stuff like that. It's happened to me, like especially with bracelets. Now I'm pretty good at spotting the fakes, but I feel like even if it's like painted wood or something instead of a crystal, like it's still, it's symbolic. It's kind of the meaning that you give it to, and you can really bless anything. So I don't know. I guess I kind of have a different mindset then than I now than I used to, if that makes sense. I even found this shell, since you're into them, that reminded me of an arrowhead, a broken shell. So yeah, I have all kinds. I won't I'll show you all of them, but yeah. Yeah, so a lot of them I have like clear quartz, amethyst, rose quartz, selenites, tiger's eye, hematite, obsidian, pyrite, moonstone. I love moonstone. I have carnelian, black tourmaline. I have so many. and all for different things. And especially because I do Reiki, so I have, all the ones I use for Reiki too. All the colors, all the things. Sure. Oh, interesting, Dylan. See, F Florida football, Arrowhead. Hi, Sim. Thank you. Wishing you a lovely day too. All right, let's get into the polls. And again, everything's going to be pulled from these decks here with the Jungian lens. Now, we'll see how we do with time and how the energy feels, because I might do some yes no's at the end, but we want to get into the shadow work today since it's shadow work Sunday. So let's start off with this one here. Let's see who was first. I think Dylan. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that, Dylan. That to me, she could be busy, but I'm always one where I'm like, effort's a reflection of interest. Nobody's that busy. And you make time for the people you want to make time for. So she may be kind of pulling away, but I don't know. Let's see what comes out here for you, Dylan. For Dylan Spirit. Let me actually write down the order here. I don't want to miss you guys. I'm gonna go Dylan, Sim, Cash. I know that those might not be your actual names. I'm going off of handle unless you've given me like your name. You don't have to, but oh, that's so cool, Dylan, that you inherited them. Okay, yeah. Well, that could have something to do with it too. Her having her kid. I forgot. That's right. She does have a kid. Okay, let's see here. For Dylan Spirit. Oh, the archetype, the Senex. Okay, let's see if we get shadow here. Sometimes we get multiple archetypes or multiple shadows here. As I said that, some thought. Yeah, you got 3 different archetypes here and a shadow pattern. All right, let's talk about it. Before we go into those, and pull from the other decks as well. See what's going on here for Dylan. So we'll come back to these from the somatic deck, and then we're going to pull from our healing action to see what actions you need to take here. For Dylan Spirit. All right. Okay, let's get into it. I'm going to start here with the self, and then we will go from there. Okay, so this is a Jungian archetype here. So the self. Now, Jung's concept here is the self is the totality of the psyche. Okay, so the organizing center, if you will, that Jung called the goal of individualization, if I could speak. Um, so your whole integrated self, basically, okay? And this shows up as a persistent feeling that something's missing. So despite external success or spiritual practice, so it's kind of touching on the loneliness topic of today as well that I was talking about. Now, in the body, this can show up as a subtle hollow feeling, maybe in your chest, or a restlessness without cause, disrupted sleep. So, a good prompt for this is, what part of yourself have you abandoned in pursuit of who you thought you should be? So, that should I was talking about earlier. Okay. Clear quartz, like I was showing you over here, really great for that. Okay. Also, lemon balm tea. Okay. So, if you're resonating with that one, so that was the self. Now, let's talk about the great mother, because that's the other one that you got here. And a common misconception here is that only women can pull this archetype, and that's not true. So, the great mother concept is all about nourishment, creation, and also destruction. So, both the womb and the tomb. So, life giver and devourer. And this shows up as maybe smothering others or sacrificing yourself to feel needed. Sometimes even withholding care or attention as punishment. Okay. And in the body, this can be tension in the womb space. So, kind of your abdomen, stomach area, chest or breast tenderness, digestive sensitivity. Okay. And so, something to ask yourself is, are you nurturing others from overflow or from a wound that needs healing? Okay. So, I would say that I feel that this resonates for you because I'm laughing just because I'm saying I feel it. I think, not to say that you're, smothering her, but I think that longing for the attention, the response. So a little bit of anxious attachment there. So remember, I was talking about attachment earlier. I'm not sure at what point you came in. So that's important too. And then you have the Senex, okay? And now this one is the archetype of order, authority, tradition, and in shadow, which is what we're talking about today, rigid, being rigid, control, contempt for growth. So maybe you have some sort of fear of change or clinging to systems or even people that no longer serve you. Harsh judgment maybe of those who live differently than you. And in the body, this can be stiffness in the joints, tension in your spine, chronic contractions or muscle spasms. Okay. So, something to ask yourself here is, what are you holding on to so tightly that you've forgotten why it even mattered? All right. Black obsidian is really good for this. Smoky quartz, those darker stones. Okay. I was looking for my black obsidian, but it's far away. Um, yeah, so those are some good ones for you. Oh, your joints have been sore. That makes sense. Hey, odd one. Welcome. Yes, you caught me. Feel free to share with the chat where you're joining from, any questions you might have. We got a little bit of a queue going. And we're doing shadow work today, shadow work Sunday. So we're pulling from a shadow lens from our Jungian deck here. Okay, so you got the empath's shadow, Dylan. So I don't know if you resonate as being an empath. So how Jung described this as it was sensitivity without boundaries, okay, or self erasure. So maybe you feel things very deeply, you feel other people's emotions. Maybe people have called you too much, too sensitive, too emotional. I know I definitely resonate as being an empath. And on the shadow side, though, this can be absorbing everyone else's pain. And sometimes it's an avoidance thing, it's to avoid your own, okay? So you might feel exhausted around people. You might lose your own opinion in groups. You might confuse other people's emotions for your own. And you might have, again, that kind of porous feeling in your chest. You might have really sensitive skin. You might feel overwhelmed in crowded spaces. I know me personally, it was a lot with the skin sensitivity and feeling overwhelmed in crowded spaces. So anywhere where there's like a lot of energy is where I can kind of get overwhelmed. So a good thing to ask yourself is, whose pain are you carrying that was never really yours to hold? And if you've never done a cleanse, even if it's a quick one in the shower saying, this water cleanses me of all energies I may be carrying that do not belong to me. That is such a powerful cleanse to do. And it's so simple. So that would be a good one. And again, the dark stones. So black tourmaline, those protection stones. You really want to protect your energy because you're so sensitive. Okay. Thank you, PP. Oh, good, Dylan. I'm glad that resonates. Yeah, and you might feel connections right away, maybe stronger or quicker, than the average person or than other people around you. You might love really, really deeply. Okay. And we also got here colon and intestines and brain and nervous system for you. Um, so anytime we have any sort of anxiety or anxious attachments, this can present itself this way in the body. So issues with our intestines, issues with the colon, so IBS, which stands for irritable bowel syndrome, food sensitivities, constipation. And this has to do with holding on to the past, a blocked emotional flow, all to do with your sacral chakra. Okay. So make sure you're consuming your fiber. Again, do the emotional release, the energetic release cleanse. Um, Castor oil might be good for you. Okay. And again, you guys, this is not medical advice. Okay. So don't come after me. um, and brain and nervous system. This really can show up a lot for empaths, especially as brain fog, burnout, even sensitivity. I know I said sensitivity in the skin, but also to sound and light. Okay, when you're feeling really overwhelmed. This can have to do with overthinking, maybe trauma loops, maybe you feel overstimulated. You might be just replaying things in your mind a lot. This has a lot to do with your third eye and crown chakras, both. Okay. So make sure you're also taking magnesium, do a nervous system reset, have some quiet time to yourself, for reflection. Why are you feeling this way? Especially when you're triggered. And your healing action is, you are safe to heal. Yeah, so I think safety is a big one for you. Whether you just really need to feel safe in your connections or you haven't felt that in the past. Not sure how you would resonate with that, but Spirit wants you to know you are safe to heal. Okay, and then Sim was next. So we're going to pull for Sim. I'm going to put these back. Yeah, I'm going to put these back in case someone else needs these for theirs. And we'll shuffle here in a second. And if any of our newbies here joining, feel free to put your questions in the chat. Again, we're pulling from this lens here. to get to the deeper root of it, not just the yes, no, or like we would usually do. So doing shadow work together. Hi, Rita. Welcome, welcome. Yep, I was talking to Dylan. I'm moving on to Sim next, then Kaj, and then I think then it's you, odd one. Let's take a look. Yep, odd one, and then Rita. Thank you, PP. Yes, be sure to turn on your notifications too. I know someone else was telling me earlier that they weren't getting notifications when I go live. Hopefully, no one else is having that issue. But if you're subscribed and have your notifications on, you should be getting it. I don't always schedule them far in advance. So, okay, great, Kaj. Thank you for your patience. Okay, so we're going to do Sim, Kaj, Odd One, and Rita. PP, did you have one too? Anywho, let me know if I missed anyone else. I'm going to go ahead and pull now for Sim. For Sim Spirit. Ooh, ooh. You got a few. One went flying onto the floor. So that means it's important. It is urgent. Oh, okay. You got one that Dylan also got. So you guys have that in common. And you got Trickster. That came out in, I think, a couple of nights ago in a live too. That Trickster energy. It's been kind of a collective theme. So you got the wise old woman or man, the great mother, and the trickster. We're going to get into what that means. Let's see if we can get a shadow pattern for you as well. I really should, I won't do it now, but I really should maybe separate them. Oh, goodness. Half the deck fell out for you. Okay, there's a lot here for you, so we're going to go with this shadow pattern at the top of the deck, which is the martyr. Okay, we're going to get into what these mean. And now let's see how you might be feeling this beyond what the archetype says. All right. And then what healing action or actions you could take for Sim Spirit. All right. Both of these, two of those fell out for you. Okay, so I'm going to start with the Great Mother since we kind of already touched on that one. I don't know if you caught that one or not, Sim, but I'll kind of briefly go over it again. So the Great Mother again is nourishment, creation, destruction. So it's the womb and the tomb. And this can present itself as smothering others or sacrificing yourself to feel needed, maybe withholding care as punishment towards others. You might feel tension in your womb space, breast or chest tenderness, digestive sensitivity. So, a good question to ask yourself is, are you nurturing others from overflow or from a wound? Okay. And then some stones. And I don't know if I mentioned this for you or not, Dylan, but moonstone's really good. Red raspberry leaf tea. Malachite's another good stone for that. Okay. And then you also got the wise old woman or man. So we'll go to that one next. Again, this is for Sim. And this one is the inner elder. Okay, so it's accumulated wisdom, discernment, and the capacity to guide from experience rather than fear. We were just talking about releasing fear last night in the live. So this might show up as ignoring your own wisdom, seeking external validation for what you already know. Okay. And in the body, you might feel a disconnection from your body's signals. Okay. Maybe you're constantly second guessing what you're feeling. You might have tension in your temples. This could be headaches or migraines as well. So, a good question to ask yourself is, what does the wisest version of you already know that you're pretending not to? Okay. Amethyst is really good for this. Frankincense, if you want to burn some frankincense. Elderberry tea. So you're getting like the berries and tea are really good for you here. Okay. And then we also got the trickster. Like I said, this one's been coming up a lot in the collective. So there's been a lot of trickster energy lately. So we definitely want to talk about this one here. So the trickster was one that Jung called also the disruptor. Okay, so an agent of chaos, but also a truth teller. Okay, who exposes what's been maybe too rigid or too buried, deep in the subconscious. Okay, um, and it shows up in sabotage patterns. So maybe you self sabotage. You might have dark humor that you're using as deflection. Okay, you might have compulsive tendencies or rebellions without any real direction. Okay, this can show up as nervous system dysregulation, scattered energy, digestive issues. Okay, maybe very irregular. So, a good question to ask yourself is, what are you sabotaging because some part of you knows it was never really yours? Okay, or it could also be from fear. So, labradorite's good, peppermint tea, citrine. Those are all good things for this. And then the shadow pattern you got was the martyr. Okay, so the martyr here is kind of an expression of the caregiver, okay? Giving until you're empty and then you resent the emptiness, okay? Especially in silence. So maybe you're overgiving, you're maybe quietly keeping score when you're giving. You might say yes when you mean no. You might feel kind of invisible, feel unappreciated, okay? This can show up in the body as chronic fatigue, tension in your upper back, tightness behind your sternum. Okay. So, a good question to ask is, where are you suffering in silence, hoping someone will finally notice? Okay. It's okay to ask for help. So, again, citrine's really good for this. So, that seems to be a theme for, a stone that you could use. Let's see what else came out. Oh, stomach. See, we already said kind of issues with the digestive system. So stomach came out for you. You might be having issues with that. Could be bloating, could be ulcers, nausea, butterflies without cause. Really, this comes from anxiety, fear of failure, lack of safety. Okay, this is your solar plexus chakra. All right, and which is usually yellow. Okay, so that's kind of the color for the solar plexus. So again, chamomile tea, berry teas, and you give yourself a little belly massage, eat some grounding foods. Those are all good for that. All right. And you've got a message here, Sim. You're a channel. You don't have to prove your magic. Just open your mouth and let us speak. Oh, Okay, so maybe you've been receiving downloads, or maybe you're meant to start a channel. I don't know, but you've been getting maybe ringing in your ears, your hands are buzzing, your pen is tingling. So in some form or another, whether that be starting a channel or maybe writing, somehow you're meant to kind of share that. Okay, and ground yourself. I did say you needed grounding foods, and then your healing actions, ground yourself. Maybe spend some time in nature, maybe walk barefoot, find a way to ground yourself, Sim, okay? And let me know if you guys have follow-up questions on any of it. I'm gonna go ahead and pull for Kaj next. I know Kaj has been waiting patiently for me. And I appreciate your patience. I know these pulls take a little bit longer. I'm gonna go ahead, I think, and separate these archetypes from the shadow for the sake of time. I'll do that while I catch up on the chat too. I'm going to be adding to this deck too. Just haven't done it yet. Okay. I'll have to keep those separate. Okay. We still might get multiples, but at least we got some from each deck. Okay, let's see what's going on. Oh, you're trying to figure it out. It's okay, PP. Let me know. I get that, Dylan. Oh, odd one. You met your spouse in September. Okay. Thank you, Kaj. I appreciate it. Glad to hear it, odd one. Thank you, PP. Okay. So let's go ahead and pull for Kaj. Okay, let's see. First, the archetype for Kaj Spirit. And let me know too in the chat if any of you guys resonated with the what I was discussing earlier about the loneliness stuff. Oh, Kaj, you got the archetype, the lover. Love it. We're gonna talk about it. All right, let's see about the shadow. For Kaj Spirit. I swear the ice cream truck always seems to come when I'm on live. Like any other time, doesn't come by. Okay, so you got two shadow patterns here, Kaj. You got the gatekeeper and the achiever's shadow. Okay, so let's get into this. Oh, actually, let me pull from these first for you for college experience. And this one. Ooh, we got a few here. Okay. All right, so let's talk about the lover card first. So this archetype, Jung called the archetype of connection, passion, desire, and in shadow of addiction, obsession, and merging to avoid self. Okay. So this shows up as losing yourself in relationships, addictive patterns, confusing intensity or chemistry with intimacy. Okay. So in the body, this can show up as heart palpitations, skin sensitivity, tension in the chest, lower abdomen area. So a good question to ask yourself is, what are you seeking connection to escape yourself? Or where, excuse me, are you seeking connection to escape yourself rather than to meet another or someone else? Mm. So a good stone for you would be the rose quartz. Now, anytime I caution someone when it comes to love, whenever you're going to use rose quartz, also use amethyst because you want balanced love. Okay. The amethyst balances it out. Okay. Okay. So hibiscus tea would be good for you as well. All right. So let's get into your shadow patterns now because you got two of them. What do we get? We got the achiever's shadow and the gatekeeper. So we'll start with the achievers one. So this one is performing success to avoid feeling worthless underneath. Okay, so this is really kind of a defense mechanism instead of just being yourself. So maybe you feel like you're never enough, no matter what you accomplish. Rest can feel dangerous. Maybe you always feel like you need to be doing something. Identity collapses because you don't have a goal. And in the body, it can be adrenal burnout, okay? Tension that spikes when things are still, things are quiet, an inability to truly rest. I've experienced this in the past, so I can understand this one. And a good question to ask yourself is, who are you when you're not producing? Okay, this takes a lot of deprogramming, especially in our culture, because there's a big hustle culture. So you guys know I'm all about, don't grind, align. Okay. So we are not meant to live in constant productivity and constant hustle mode. That's how you burn out. Okay. So you might feel that. Um, yeah, green stones would be really good for you. Okay. Both for grounding and yeah, and for this. Okay. So let's get into the gatekeeper. So this is kind of controlling who gets close. So you might avoid true intimacy. Now, remember, we talked about your archetype with the lover is that you tend to confuse intensity, passion, chemistry, for love or for true connection. So you're kind of avoiding true intimacy. Okay. You might call it discernment or you might call it wisdom, but you've really got these walls up. Okay. So you might find reasons that you're, pushing people away, maybe testing loyalty, kind of keeping people at arm's length. Okay. And in the body, this can really come as like again, the feeling in your chest, maybe tension across your shoulders, maybe feeling kind of a wallop or a glass or something. I'm seeing like glass between you and someone. Um, hopefully not someone like behind bars, but I see, glass between you and someone. And so a good question here is, who are you keeping out, that part of you actually wants to let in? So there might be someone that you're kind of keeping at arm's length that you really want to let in, but you're not, out of fear. And again, rose quartz is really good for this. Also, hawthorn berry tea, any type of berry tea, kind of add that sweetness. Okay. Add some sweetness. And again, anytime you use your rose quartz, you want to use amethyst too. Okay. To calm that balanced love. And then we also got here liver. Okay. Hopefully, you're not having liver issues. Again, you guys, this is not medical advice. Okay. Um, so this can show up, as anger, hormone issues, acne. We talked about skin sensitivity with your, archetype and shadows anyway. Could be fatigue. So this comes from repressed rage, boundaries being violated. This is your sacral and solar plexus chakras. Okay. So, you might want to start off your morning. I don't know if you jump into tea or coffee or anything, but maybe start with lemon water. Okay. You might need to release some of this anger, scream into a pillow, step outside and scream, whatever you can, safely do. And look at this, what came out. Stop giving your power away. And this makes sense because we got that, lover card here too. Okay. Stop giving your power away. And take the herbs. However that resonates with you, however you want to take your herbs, tea, smoke, all right? And protect your energy, okay? So not everyone deserves access to you. Yes. So this is spirit reminding me to tell you, this doesn't mean open up to everyone. So you definitely have a wall up, maybe you're feeling guarded, but definitely protect your energy. It doesn't mean let everyone in. Not everybody deserves access to you, to your light, you know so definitely protect your energy, do a reset. If you're feeling fatigued, you're feeling drained, anything like that, people will start falling away. Trust that. And then you got drink more water, okay? You need to drink more water. Hey Jessica, welcome, welcome. I'm catching up on the chat now. Okay. Coming up to you, odd one. You are next. So we just finished Kaj. So yep, we're going in order. You're next. Born in September. Are you a Virgo, odd one? Oh, okay, Kaj, that makes sense. Interesting. Yes, Jessica, I will put you on the queue. You did resonate with the loneliness. Okay. I'm sorry to hear that. I completely get it. I don't know if you heard my story before, but definitely, if you feel called, go back and listen to that part of it, because that was a big one for me during that period of my life. Yes, thank you, PP. Yeah, you guys can share whatever you feel comfortable with. Oh, yeah, I'm sorry to hear that odd one about liver issues. You're welcome, Cash. Oh, 9/11, odd one. That comes up a lot in my channel. Interesting. That makes sense, Kaj. It sounds like you need a cord cutting. Did we talk about? No, I think you said your first time here. I do those too. Sanctuary444.com, or you can email me. Everything is on my channel. Yeah, it sounds like you need a cord cutting, Kaj. And a good cleanse. All right, let's get to odd one now. And then we have Rita and Jessica. Okay, for odd one spirit. The deck's being stubborn. Have you been feeling stubborn lately? Ooh. Wow, you got 4 archetypes here. We kind of already talked about the trickster ones, but I will touch on it again. See if we can get a shadow pattern for you. Or odd one spirit. So you got the magician, the persona, the trickster, and the anima. Also being stubborn for us here. It seemed like one wanted to fall out, but didn't. Of course, for the person that's in a hurry, it takes the longest to come out. That's how it works, though. We can't rush the energy. Oh, no. Okay. The avoider. Okay. We're going to talk about it. For odd ones. Okay. All right. And finally, for odd one spirit. Whoa. Okay, a lot of healing actions. Let's reshuffle here. That was like most of the deck. That means there's a lot here for you. There's a lot here, which makes sense because you got a lot of archetypes. Okay, let's get into it. All right, we can start with Trickster since we already kind of talked about that one. I'll touch on it again in case you didn't hear that one. I forget who it was that also got Trickster. Okay, so Trickster again is the disruptor, kind of an chaos agent, but also a truth teller. Okay, so kind of exposing things that have been hidden or buried deep. But there are sabotage patterns. Okay, dark humor uses deflection, compulsions. Okay, and it's nervous system dysregulation, scattered energy, you might have digestive issues. So get a good prompt to ask yourself is what are you sabotaging because some part of you knows it was never really yours. Citrine is a good stone for this, peppermint tea. Okay. And then let's go to the magician next. So this Jungian concept is the archetype of transformation and knowledge. Okay. Now in shadow, it can be manipulation, using power to control instead of create. And it might show up as withholding information, maybe for leverage, maybe performing transformation without actually doing the work. In your body, you might feel tension in your hands, your wrists, maybe even your throat. Okay. So this is your body of doing and speaking. Okay, so a good question to ask yourself is, are you transforming or are you performing transformation to avoid being seen? And there's a difference between transforming and performing transformation. Okay, so that's important too. Amethyst is a really good stone for you to work with. And working with amethyst, you don't have to work with rose quartz, but I always recommend if you're doing rose quartz to add amethyst. So just for clarification there, somebody needed to hear it. What else do we get here for you? The anima and their persona. Okay, so we'll talk about the anima or animus is gender neutral, but it's basically the masculine principle. No, you got anima. Okay, so this one is the feminine principle within. Okay, so anima's feminine, animus is masculine. So you got the feminine principle within. Okay, so intuition, feeling, being receptive, relational depth, regardless of gender. It's just a feminine principle. Okay, we all have both in us. So you might have difficulty receiving maybe suppressed emotions, feeling disconnected from your intuition or your creative flow. And in your body, this could be hormonal imbalance, reproductive tension, tightness in the heart center. Okay, so a good one to ask yourself is where are you refusing to feel what you already know? And rose quartz is a good one to use. So we got both amethyst and rose quartz for you. And I was just saying that. Okay, moonstone's a good one too. Rose or hibiscus tea. Okay, so like flower teas are good for this. And we got the persona. Now, the persona is what Jungian described as the mask that we build to be acceptable. So, this is a mask we wear in society, okay? The version of you that performs for the world. And this can show up as exhaustion, okay, from keeping up appearances, from feeling unknown. So maybe even the closest people to you, you feel like they don't really know you, they don't really understand you. All right. And in the body, you might feel tension in your face and your shoulders, again, in the throat. So I'm getting a lot of throat chakra stuff for you here. Okay, odd one. Because your body's holding all of this in. So something to ask yourself is, who are you when no one is watching and nothing's being required of you? Okay, so lavender, you burn some lavender, spray some lavender, have some chamomile tea. So again, you're seeing this flower theme, right? So those flower teas. And then your shadow pattern here is the avoider. And this is kind of the underlying shadow pattern, okay, that touches on all of your archetypes. Take a sip of my water real quick before we get into that one. All right, so the avoider is all about avoidance, of course. So this is, conflict avoidance, um, maybe even elevated to a certain lifestyle. Okay, so you might disappear when things are hard to say, or staying isn't comfortable anymore. Okay, you might ghost people. You might be numbing yourself with screens or substances, maybe leaving before things really get real. Okay, that's the avoider. And in your body, this can be heaviness in your legs, foggy head, fatigue without cause. So it's kind of a theme here, if you're noticing that. And the good thing to ask yourself is, what are you avoiding that if you faced it would actually set you free? Okay, ginger tea would be good for this. And any of the black stones, protection stones, obsidian, black tourmaline. All right, and then let's see, we got here heart. Oh, I was just saying this, and I think it was your anima archetype about the heart. So palpitations, chest tightness, numbness. This could come from heartbreak. Maybe you had a past trauma with heartbreak, emotional shutdown, having walls up. This is all about the heart chakra. Okay, so green. So again, rose tea, rose quartz. You're again seeing this pattern with the flower teas. Okay, so you need to incorporate those into your daily routine. Maybe put some rose quartz on your chest and hold amethyst in your hand if you have it. um, and in the mirror, start saying love affirmations to yourself. Okay, and you also got take the herbs. This is the theme for the channel. Take the herbs, you guys. All right, so that was for odd one. Again, let me know if you guys have any follow-up questions. Makes sense. So we're doing shadow work today. Hi, Bernadette. Thank you. Blessings to you too. Welcome, welcome. Tarot decks will be on, I think we're doing that Tuesday. Okay, so Rita was next. So let me shuffle. And then Jessica. And those are the last ones I have on the list. So if anybody else wants to hop on, otherwise we will close out after Jessica. All righty. Rita. is for you. Let's find out what archetypes you got going on. Rita Spirit. All right. Oh, look at this. We got the outlaw and the hero and the shadow for you. 3 archetypes. Let's see what we get for the shadow prompt for Rita. The codependent, the wounded child, and the integration. You got 3 of each here, Rita. Wow, okay. That one. All right, let's see. All right. And all right, so all of this is for Rita, and then we'll go into Jessica. All right, so where do we want to start here? Let's start with the outlaw. Okay, so this one, and nobody's gotten this one yet. I don't think anyone's gotten any of these actually. So the outlaw concept is all about liberation and disruption. Okay, so in shadow, this is destruction for its own sake. Okay, rebellion without cause. So maybe you're a rebel without a cause. But how this shows up is burning things down before they can leave, self sabotaging, chronic rule breaking, kind of taking that on as your identity. And the body, this can feel like heat, inflammation, tension in the solar plexus. So, a good thing to ask yourself is, are you breaking free or are you destroying what you're afraid to lose? Okay. So, you might be self sabotaging here, similar to another one that we got. Okay. Bloodstone would be good for you to work with, nettle tea. Take a sip of my coffee here. And then we're going to go into the hero. All right. So, this is the part, the hero that rises to overcome. But in shadow, it becomes the ego that refuses to help and equates their worth with the conquest. Okay. So this might mean that, you have trouble asking for help. You have this compulsive self sufficiency. I have certainly had this issue in my past. Okay. Burnout disguised as strength. So you might feel chronic tension in your upper back and neck, maybe exhaustion, maybe even insomnia. Okay. So ask yourself, what would you allow yourself to receive if you stopped needing to be the strong one? Mm, definitely one I've had to work on. And I'm not gonna lie to you guys, it still comes up for me, okay? This is one I've had to like consistently work on. So it's always been very hard for me. I've always been very independent. So in my life to ask for help, um, I've always felt self-sufficient. So receiving can be tough for people like that. Ashwagandha root is a good one to use. Pyrite. Okay. And then Last but not least, you got the shadow. Now, the whole concept of the shadow with Jung, okay, this archetype is the unconscious, okay? It's like an archive of everything you've rejected, everything you've denied, everything you've been told to hide. That's what the shadow is, okay? And it's not evil, okay? It's just maybe unwanted by you, by society. And this shows up in our triggers, in our overreactions, our judgments of other people. And it usually mirrors what we're refusing to see in ourselves. Okay, that's what the shadow is. So you might feel this as tightness in your gut, maybe clenching your jaw, sudden fatigue when certain people or topics come up. Okay. So ask yourself, what do you most dislike in others that you secretly recognize in yourself? And sometimes it's hard to see. Sometimes you really, really have to sit with that. Okay. And that's kind of an ongoing thing, okay? The shadow work. And that's what we're doing today. So, protection stones, okay? Obsidian, black tourmaline, some dandelion root tea would be good. You can literally go pick dandelions and make tea with them. Just make sure to, rinse them properly, make sure you're boiling it right. Okay. So, now let's get into your shadow patterns here, because you also got 3 of those. So a lot for you today too, Rita. So you got the wounded child. We'll start there. So the whole concept of the wounded child is there's some part of you that was kind of frozen at the age a wound happened in your childhood. And you're still making adult decisions from that child's place, from that child's fear. Okay. This shows up as emotional flooding. If you've ever been somewhere and suddenly something's triggered and you just start crying or just start feeling a flood of emotions, maybe fear of abandonment, seeking parental approval in adult relationships. So maybe from your partner, you're seeking that approval, maybe from friendships, something you didn't get as a child. And you might feel it as tightness in your throat, stomach aches, maybe feeling small. And so ask yourself, how old do you feel when you're most triggered? And what did that child need then? And you want to give it to yourself. Okay. Chamomile tea, really good for this. Okay. What else did we say here? The integration. Okay. So the goal is not to eliminate the shadow. I find it very interesting that, I don't know if you noticed this here, but you got the outlaw, the codependent, the hero, the wounded child, the shadow, the integration. They perfectly match each other. This is very rare that it comes out like this. Okay. So take it as it resonates, Rita, but this is special. Okay. Because I talk about this all the time. The key is integrating your shadow. Okay. So the whole goal is not eliminating your shadow, because we all have dark and light in us. It is to meet it, to name it, and to reclaim that energy that it holds. Okay. We utilize our shadow, so to speak, for our greater good. Okay. For our higher purpose. Okay. So we're integrating our light and dark. So this shows up in moments of unexpected self compassion. Okay. You might suddenly understand maybe something you regretted or something you did in your past, or a decision where maybe before you were really blaming yourself or feeling bad or whatever it could be, having regrets. And suddenly you're like, oh, I understand why I did that. You might you see yourself from a place of compassion, and with others too. But right now we're talking about the self. Choosing differently than what you would have in the past. Okay. So once you start doing that, it's kind of that integrating your shadow. You're understanding yourself, having compassion for your past self, and then choosing wiser in the future. Okay. So, in the body, you'll start to feel a softening in your chest. You're taking deeper breaths. Your body starts beginning to feel like, you're at home, you're safe. Okay. So, a question to ask yourself is, what shadow aspect have you already begun to integrate? Because if this is coming out, maybe you've already started to do this. And what changed when you did that? And you can start applying that to other areas as well, or other shadows. Okay. Clear quartz, like I have here, it's great for that. Lemon balm tea, and really any of the clear stones would be good for this. Okay. Drink more water. I see that's a theme here with you guys. Drink more water. Stop giving your power away. Say what you need to say. And take a salt bath. Yeah, so you need to cleanse. You need to express yourself. Stop giving your power away. Drink more water. Okay. So that was for Rita. Jessica is next. I'm going to catch up really quick in the chat here. You're new here, Bernadette. Oh, welcome, welcome. Thank you. Yes, I can, odd one. Email me, or you can check it out on the site for protection. I have protection rituals and spells on the site, sanctuary444.com. Oh, Bernadette, I do remember you because I remember talking about your children. Aren't you in, I think, Israel? Yes, Bernadette, I do them. I do cleanses. I teach you how to do them if you want me to write one up for you. Or I can do them for you on my altar. Either way, all of those are up on the site. Okay, so looks like we have Jessica, and then we are wrapping up. I usually take Mondays off, you guys. Those are kind of slower days. I don't know, may test one out someday, but for sure we'll do tarot on Tuesday. But every Sunday is shadow work for those of you that are new. But yeah, Bernadette, I'm pretty sure you joined one of my other lives and we were talking about, and correct me if I'm wrong, because but I want to say you were in Israel, you had children in the States, and some with you. And I think you were wanting them to come home. So I remember kind of a similar question. Now, if that was someone else, then ooh, that is such synchronicity. If that was someone else, but it sounds familiar to me. Okay. Let's go for Jessica. For Jessica Spirit. The divine child. Ooh, I like this. Maybe you resonate with being chosen. We're going to get into it. That's your archetype. Let's see about this shadow pattern for Jessica Spirit. The projection. Oh, okay. So you got one of each. Put in a little balance here. Okay. So let's talk about this. So the concept of the divine child, this archetype through the Jungian lens, is the seed of wholeness. Okay. So it's the innocent self that holds your kind of original nature before any wounds were layered on top of it, before any programming. Okay. So kind of how you were born, basically. And how this shows up are flashes of pure joy. You know, when they say childlike joy, childlike energy. So when you feel that, when you get flashes of just pure joy, and maybe you quickly suppress them, okay? Um, you might kind of get creativity that just kind of pops up out of nowhere. Maybe you bury that down. Okay. So the self you were before you learned to hide, that's the divine child. Okay. So just so that you understand what it is. And in the body, when this comes up, you'll feel lightness in your chest. It's like you forget to perform. You might even have spontaneous tears or spontaneous recognition when you see or feel something. Aliveness when you're being creative, you might just feel really alive. Okay. And a really good thing to ask yourself is, what did you love freely and fiercely before you learned that it wasn't safe to? Okay. So I'll give you a good example here. Somebody needs to hear this. You know, when I was a child, I used to have prophetic dreams. Okay. So kind of predicting the future. And it was mostly surrounded around, it was about negative events to people I really cared about. Okay. So, for example, with my Nana. And it wasn't exact, but it was the same type of energy. So, for example, I would have a dream maybe that she fell and then she would fall. Maybe not the exact same place or whatever, but she would fall, get injured. And usually a couple weeks ahead of time, I would have a dream about it. Okay. And in the beginning, of course, nobody really took it too seriously. But over time, as this kept happening, even my own family saw the pattern. But in the beginning, it was kind of like, oh, you know, it's just a dream. It got dismissed, etc. And then once they realized something was happening, it was kind of like, don't talk about that. You know, it was kind of a hush hush thing. You know, instead of it being special and it being, you know, oh, okay, we're gonna, you know, help you enrich this or help you, you know, really tap into it, was kind of like, don't talk about that, you know, although they'd want to know if I had a dream about them, right? If it benefited them, it was fine, but like in public and certain things. So you might have something like that too, that was kind of buried. Okay. And so that's why I was asking, maybe you resonate with feeling chosen or something. There's some sort of gift here. Okay. Working with sunstone would be good for you. Lemon balm tea, clear quartz. This is a theme for you guys today here in the live. Clear quartz for sure will amplify whatever that gift is. Okay. And then your shadow pattern here is the projection. And this one is key, you guys. Okay. Um, the projection. So, this is kind of, you know, projection is when we really can't own something in ourself. So we will see it and judge it everywhere else and everyone else. Okay. So we start to project our own patterns, okay, our own shadows onto other people. And this shows up as like maybe you have a strong negative reaction to someone else. But it has like this emotional charge to it. That's how you kind of know that it's a projection versus, you know, just a normal reaction or something. Okay. So you might feel heat in your chest, clenched fist, tension in your face. You feel really triggered. Okay. So those are things to examine and kind of sit with the question, you know, what are you most quick to condemn in other people? And where do you think that comes from? You know, where does it live in you? So those are good journal prompts to kind of get to the root of that. Okay. Black obsidian is really good. So any of the dark, you know, protection stones would be good for you to work with. And then look, we got 10 to your inner child. So how fitting is that? Because you got the divine child here. So that makes sense. So tend to that inner child, and then you are safe to heal. I love this. What a beautiful one here, Jessica. Hopefully that resonated for you. Okay, I'm going to catch up in the chat. You forgot Bernadette. It's okay. I didn't. Thank you, Bernadette. Well, I'm sorry to hear that. Did you want me to pull for you, Bernadette? Thank you, PP. Okay, Bernadette. We'll pull from Bernadette and then close out. Yeah. It's a long one today. That's okay, though. I want to make sure you guys get your answers. And I get asked every time, so I'm gonna go ahead and put it out there. Yes, this is free. I do this for free, although your girl's not monetized yet. Soon, soon. Cross your fingers. Of course, tips are always appreciated. My links are all on my bio. If you're not able to give financially, of course, your support with watching, viewing, commenting. Watching and viewing are the same thing, silly G. Um, Commenting, sharing, your energy being here, subscribing, etc. It's an energy exchange too, right? Okay. Let's see what's going on, Bernadette. For Bernadette Spirit. Yeah, and definitely check out the cord cutting. Or like I said, if you're not sure what you need, you can email me and I can guide you. Oh, Bernadette, the wounded child and the martyr. That's your shadow pattern. Let's get to your archetype. The trickster. Okay, so a couple of these we already went over, so I'll touch on them again in case you missed it. Got a lot of healing actions for you. Those are quick. Okay. Let's go over your archetype first. The trickster. This is a big one in the collective lately. So the trickster again is kind of the disruptor, okay? Chaos, the truth teller that exposes truths maybe that have been buried deep in your unconscious. And this shows up as sabotaging patterns, dark humor. Maybe you're using it as deflection, compulsions, rebellion without direction. Okay. And it can show up too as nervous system dysregulation. So scattered energy, digestive irregularities. So ask yourself, what are you sabotaging because some part of you knows that it was never really yours or maybe not meant for you. Again, citrine, the stone is good for you. Peppermint tea. Okay. So that's for your archetype. And then your shadow patterns were the wounded child and the martyr. So we'll start with the martyr. Now, this one is kind of an expression of the caregiver. Okay. So someone who's just giving until they're empty. Maybe you keep giving even when you're empty. Okay. And then you're resenting that emptiness or resenting the people. Okay. That you've been giving to. And this shows up in overgiving. Maybe you're quietly keeping score, saying yes when you mean to say no, or you really want to say no. You might feel invisible at times or really unappreciated. Okay. And this can show up in the body too: chronic fatigue, tension in your upper back, tightness. So, a good thing to ask yourself is, where are you suffering in silence, just hoping someone will finally notice? And so, again, citrine or green stones would be good for you too. And then we have the wounded child. And again, someone else got this too. So I did talk about it, but I'll touch on it again. Again, this is the part of us that's frozen at the age where the wound happened. Okay. So you're frozen there, but you're still making adult decisions from that child's place, from that child's fear. Okay. So you might feel flooded with emotions or fear of abandonment. Maybe you're seeking approval in your adult relationships. This can be tightness in your throat, stomach aches, feeling small. So really ask yourself, maybe journal about, how old do you feel when you're the most triggered? And then what did that child need then? Okay. Chamomile tea would be really good for you too. All right. And then let's see what else came out here. Oh, you got some messages here. Okay, so you're a channel. You don't have to prove your magic. Just open your mouth and let us speak. Okay. So there's something that you're meant to speak here. This makes sense because we got the trickster too. So remember we said like revealing truths, buried truths. So there's something you're meant to speak here. Okay. So whether your ears are ringing, your hands are buzzing, your pen's tingling, there's something you're meant to get out. Okay. And then a message you got from beyond, do they hear you? So your prayers, your tears, your whispers, none of those have gone unnoticed or unheard. Okay, Bernadette. Whether you see flickering lights, maybe you're having messages in dreams, you're smelling something, you're not sure why. Those are all messages from beyond. Okay. So you are not alone. And we got let the anger move through you and nourish your gut. Makes sense because we said you might have digestive issues and stomach issues. Yep. Yeah. So definitely let this anger move through you. That goes with this shadow pattern of the martyr. You're welcome, Jessica. I'm so glad that resonated. Good. I'm glad that resonated with you, Bernadette. Hey, Javon. Thank you for the clover and sunflower. You're welcome, Bernadette. I'm glad that that resonated for you. Okay, guys. Javon caught us right at the end, but that's okay. I'm glad you joined. I meant to come on for an hour and we went way over. Not that there's a set schedule, but this is definitely the longest live we've done, you guys. I love it, though. I love it. Okay. So let's get into our affirmations. Let's see what affirmation spirit wants us to start doing. These hopefully will resonate with you guys too. As you all know, I do my affirmations on the daily. First thing I do when I wake up, last thing I do before I go to sleep. Definitely helps with switching your mindset, okay? Let's see what's going on. Affirmation spirit. All right, we got a few of them here. I trust my intuition. I am independent. I welcome expansion. I'm guided by divine wisdom in all I do. Oh, I love it, you guys. I say, yeah, these two, I trust my intuition and I am guided by divine wisdom in all I do. I say that to myself every day. So those are some of my favorites. And then I rotate the others just based, depending on what I feel like I'm needing. But I do my morning and evening ones, same ones every day. Okay. So, you guys, we want to start saying that Spirit wants us to remember this and to start affirming it. Yeah, you're a little late, Javon, but it's okay. Better late than never. You're welcome, Bernadette. You can always play it back to Javon, so it's okay. All right. So start affirming. I trust my intuition. I am independent. I welcome expansion. I am guided by divine wisdom in all I do. Love it. And don't forget, guys, we are going to do tarot on Tuesday, probably more towards the evening time. Probably Tuesday and Wednesday, but come and join. We'll see what the topic ends up being. Thank you so much for joining for shadow work. This is an awesome energy for shadow work. I love it. I think a lot came out. Hopefully, this was helpful to you guys. Okay. We do this every week. So join me every Sunday. Make sure you subscribe so you're getting and turn on your notifications so you're getting them every time I go live. As I mentioned, I don't always schedule them in advance. Sometimes I just pop on, okay? But most days of the week, I am here. All right. So I will leave you guys there. Thank you so much to all of you who joined and those watching the replay. I appreciate each and every one of you beautiful souls. Sending you my love. So until next time, sending you light, love, and healing. And I hope this helped. Thank you.